This is Horizon Zero Dawn Remastered. We're here on PlayStation 5. Be sure to like the video, subscribing is great as well. So it's been a fair bit of time since the original Horizon game did release on the PlayStation 4. It was fairly technically impressive and groundbreaking. And here we are getting a markable visual improvement that's trying to get it more in line with its sequel, which is Forbidden West. A game that really did, I think, showcase quite a bit of what the PlayStation 5 can do. And we're basically borrowing a lot of the technology, visuals, and style that was present from basically the first game going to the sequel, and now that's being put back into the original game. Now, there was already an upgrade for Horizon Zero Dawn. It was already running smoothly and looking really good. So to a degree, there's definitely diminishing returns from a visual perspective, but at the same time, future-proofing this experience, upgrading, I guess you would say, the PC side of things, since that's available as well, and just kind of getting this future-proofed for the PlayStation 5 Pro, I guess was definitely something that was a focus of the team. And it does look markedly better, like visually it is improved, and we're going to be diving into the technical elements of that and just sort of talking about what this game has to offer. It's actually one of my favorites. I loved this game when it came out. I thought this was an excellent PlayStation 4 title for me to enjoy back when I got the console for the first time. And then taking a look at it on the PS5 was great. And now taking a look at it with a remastered version on the PS5 is even better. So let's dive in and talk about the technical elements. So you're able to import your save. It was really easy to do for me, which I loved. Makes my work a lot easier to do when I can just import stuff I've already done. You're very easily able to just import your save or import your save and create a new game plus. We've got photo mode for dynamic, incredible photos and all that. And then for graphics, 3 different options. There's also all these different customizers like difficulty, moderate, like difficulty modifiers, HUD options, things like that. Little tweaking things you can do with your character. And then you got the full feeling of like the PlayStation 5 controller being used, which is kind of expected. But visually, we've got 3 different graphical options. We've got favor resolution, favor performance, and balanced. So we're going to go to the balanced mode first off. So balanced is your 40 FPS mode. So the goal here is to give you something kind of between the performance mode and the kind of quality mode. So this one is something I love to see in video games nowadays, is a 40 FPS mode that likes to pump the resolution a little bit more and give you something that is a little bit more fluid than 30 FPS. 40 FPS feels a lot nicer, and it's great for those with VRR, variable refresh rate displays, to enjoy just what it has to offer visually and gameplay-wise. So kind of across the board, it's a dynamic 4K resolution, but obviously we have balanced is the 40 FPS. When we go to favor resolution, it's just going to be second while the TV and everything kicks in there. So this is your native 4K at 30 FPS mode. So it looks great, it looks fantastic, visually it is a lot better, but having that lower frame rate for kind of an action game is a bit of a disappointment. At the same time, it is really nice to have this sort of option where it's basically future-proofing, because I'm sure they could go and they could just basically like uncap this if they wanted to for a future console, or maybe that's already the plan for the PS5 Pro. I don't know if there's going to be that much overhead, but visually just gorgeous. I know we're not really showcasing a lot of action right now, but there's a lot of graphical stuff to talk about, and this is a very easy way and a beautiful place in the game to show it. I think the character model looks incredible, the trees, the density of the fauna. It's kind of amazing. And then, of course, we were on the performance mode, which is my preferred way to play the game, which is dynamic 4K. It's more like 1800-ish p at 60 FPS. It's smooth, it's fluid, it looks fantastic, and it's the recommended way that I would say to go and play this game and to enjoy it properly. So if you do have a VRR enabled display, variable refresh rate is what that is, short form again, you do actually have something that goes above 60 FPS. So it's essentially uncapped if your display supports VRR. So it could actually go above 60 FPS. Wouldn't say it's necessarily like a meaningful extra bit, but it is a bit of a bump up that does make it feel slightly more fluid. Something like 60 up to like 70-ish FPS. It's gonna vary a bit based on like how heavy the scenario at play is, how crazy things are going on in your environment, and yeah, it's really quite up to you how you want to, I guess you would say, approach your setup and your graphical settings. It's really however you want to go at it, you get that choice. So I think that's really quite exciting from a gameplay perspective, and just like visually what you get. So you can go even higher for fluidity. And I think it just kind of almost future-proofs things in a very nice way. Alright, let's keep talking about what's improved here. So the lighting has been completely redone, kind of taking the styling and approach from Forbidden West. That's why it looks so much more vibrant, so much more beautiful compared to what we had prior. It's not, you know, a negative towards the original game. I really do think that one looked beautiful. If you've played, you know, the original, I'm sure you'll be well aware of just how good that game looked back in the day, or well, this game, how good it looks. So it is very much that original game. Like the base model setup and everything like that is the same. You'll see that with the cinematics and the gameplay, but I do think they have done some remarkable improvements just in terms of actually making this look a lot better than it was across the board. So we also have environmental improvements. I think you can kind of see that, and I've been highlighting it a bit. All of the little particle effects in the environment, things like little extra like leaf cover, big improvements to just the level of detail, the fauna, and the environmental elements. Are you gonna attack me too, or... Oh yeah, you are, okay. I thought you guys were friendlier. I guess not. I guess I was off on that. Okay, well, you're gonna get tanked because I'm way too high of a level for you, you poor critter. So yeah, it looks a lot better. This game is simply stunning from a visual and technical standpoint. And then we have improved textures for the characters, and that comes down to the... Okay, well that is kind of a bad shot, because I think her eyes are like kind of closed. I wanted to give you a... Sorry, I'll do more of a neutral face, because she just looks like she's either got her eyes closed or just absolutely stoned. Which is not ideal for what I'm talking about. Anyways, the improvement to like the characters, the skin, the hair, the clothing, the level of detail and the texture of the clothing, your character, other characters, remarkable improvements. It is again still the same kind of like base model, so like you see that during cinematics, but I guess they have done new motion cap, and animations and such should feel more natural and more realistic and more akin to its sequel, which is fantastic. And finally, there's the volumetric clouds. I love me some volumetric clouds. Big fan of cloud technology in gaming. I'm not even kidding. You can go back to my DayZ rant where I ranted about the clouds in that game for quite a while. But yeah, that's kind of the gist of the visual upgrades. Now, it is something where you kind of sit there and you're like, okay, this is probably one of the most, if not the most necessary, like, remasters we've seen. The first game is stunning. It looks even better here, somehow. And, you know, I think it is a bit of a fair point to be like, you know, this game is kind of visually, like, you know, it's the same game, right? Like any remaster, you're doing that. And I think the value here is really going to come down to just really how much you're into this. Like, if you love this game, you can't get enough of it, you want to revisit it right away, like right now, you can dive in and you can have a great time. I still think this game's wonderful, it holds up beautifully well. For me, sitting there, like, replaying it, it did feel a little too close gameplay-wise, I would say, for me to have actually sat here and, like, worked through the whole thing again. It was a little, you know, yeah, not enough time has really gone by for me. But to just kind of dive in and take a look at things and see how it's shaping up and stuff like that, I think this was a really nice little quick revisit for me, so I definitely do, appreciate that here, and really can enjoy the ambience and the style of it. If you've never played this game, as I said earlier, it is one of my favorites, especially from, like, I guess you would say games from last gen, the PlayStation lineup. This game is beautiful. It's a lot of fun. It's got a great story. It's got an excellent lead character. I love her journey. I love the concept of the world, where it's this sort of lost place, this lost society that is essentially... Oh, good teamwork there, my friend. Could you calm down? Could you calm down a little bit? Seriously. Anyways, as I was saying, you get to go through this really, really exciting world that's filled to the brim with detail and adventure and excitement, and you get to kind of learn what happened. Obviously, this is post-apocalyptic. You can see the remnants of society, but it's really, truly intriguing to me how you learn about what happened, what caused everything to happen, and your general role in this world that you find yourself basically, like, in. And to me, that was really, really quite intriguing, because it was such a neat mystery, and I liked the weird and strange characters and moments that you kind of came across as your journey progressed. You were sitting there trying to, like, figure it out, exploring lost ruins. I love a good post-apocalyptic world with a nice little bit of a sci-fi twist. And I mean, I say sci-fi in the sense that, like, obviously there's giant robots that are taking the place of animals in this location. You've seen that along the way. I'm trying to keep it spoiler-free, too, in case you are a veteran of the series and wondering why I'm not talking about certain things. But my goal here really was to kind of be like, this might be the introductory point for some people playing this for the very first time. So that's kind of the approach I was sort of thinking and kind of taking for talking about this game. And I'll be getting to that point a little bit too later on. But it really is something where... Could this just... I guess I can't really turn that off, can I? I was kind of wanting it to just vanish so I could go and focus on this. I'm just gonna... Kinda... That's not it. Is like a bounty? This thing, yeah, there we go. I don't like it cluttering the screen while I'm talking about things. Yeah, too slippery for my poor mount. Anyways, like I was saying before I kept getting sidetracked, I love the mystery in this one. I love the sci-fi parts of it. I love the what-if scenario. It's so intriguing, especially when you learn more about what happened, why the world got to this point. I thought it was really great, and I love the character development, because you really get to see this development of what is a baby to like a small child, and then, eventually like a young adult going out into the world and trying to figure things out, and then obviously the sequel continues that. And with this release, you do get the full scope of things, so there was, the main the main game itself, which I think was at least 12 hours for like a walkthrough or something like that I did back in the day. Like, it's lengthy. You could probably spend 20 plus tens of hours playing this, especially if you take in side content or go do side missions or just kind of take in the world and sit and do photos and stuff like that. It's really, really quite expansive. And again, beautiful. Like, I mean, just look at this game. It's just gorgeous. I really, yeah, kind of blown away by what this has to offer, and it's just like my mind is treated to such a unique and distinct and rich environment. I don't think it has quite the color palette and range that the sequel does, because, it is a different climate and environment, but I still think it is pretty fantastic to me. I feel so bad for my creature. It's like barely hanging on, and I kind of just like pushing it to go and do stuff, which is hilarious. Anyways, you get the core game, you get the expansion, which is a bit of a snowy type of scenario and setup, and you really just get this compelling, large-scale experience that I think is perfect for those that are playing this for the first time. That's what I'm trying to think of, this perspective of why this remaster exists, is for long-term support and longevity. There's a lot of other games out there that I would love to see, you know, get this kind of a treatment, get this kind of support, but you sort of get what you get when it comes to, you know, what games get remastered when. And I would say it's really cool to be playing this and talking about it again, having an excuse to talk about it, because it is a game that I do thoroughly enjoy to such a high degree. I'm hoping there wasn't too much feedback on my TV. It actually was quite loud. I didn't realize that. Anyways, it is, like I said, one of my favorite titles out there. I think if you go in fresh, you're not spoiled story-wise, I think you can have a really good time playing this and discovering the secrets of this world, everything that's been lost, everything that's being rediscovered. I think you can really, really have a genuinely fantastic time seeing what this game has to offer and just really exploring its hidden secrets. Like, I thought it was so cool. Like, the gameplay mix, it goes from, you know, mostly it's an open world. You can go anywhere, do anything you want at any time. It can be a little bit more restrictive difficulty-wise, depending on where you are going and what's happening in that area, and depending on your tools, because you got to, like, build up your stuff a little bit, but it's not too holding you back on doing things, so you really can take it in. But then you go into these crazy lost places, these skyscrapers, and they're decayed and they're overgrown, and you're climbing through them and doing parkour and maybe fighting various things, and then getting these glimpses into the past, and it's really awesome. It's really, really cool. So for those newcomers, this is a perfect way to dive in and enjoy the world of Horizon Zero Dawn. If you played it, you know, not too long ago or even at launch, it might be a little too soon to be diving back into this. I guess it depends on your affinity for the franchise. It's still remarkably great if you've been, you know, considering the revisit. It's got a wonderful world with unique enemies and different dynamic ways to destroy them, and then unique characters that you get to venture with. And yeah, basically it really genuinely comes down to, like, how long has it been since you've played this, or if you're a newcomer. And if you're a newcomer, you're in luck, because you've got this incredible, you know, first game, and then you've got an excellent sequel that you can dive into, and you can really play both of them together well, and I'm sure a third one will be coming, and even more, because I guess there's like a spin-off thing on the horizon. And then there's the Lego one too, which I'm kind of looking forward to. I'm very curious to see how the Lego version of this sort of pans out gameplay-wise, because that'll be really, really interesting. Like, I mean, it's not like a remaster or something like that, or something odd, but it is its own game. And that should be truly unique, because very few games become Lego games. It's usually other IP that gets the Lego treatment. So it'll be fascinating to see how that turns out. And you see we're transitioning into like a bit of a desert area from snow, from grass. You really do get some beautiful biomes. So Horizon Zero Dawn, I thought, was a pretty perfect game. There might be some spots that are a little difficulty scaling in some locations here or there, but it is a very mighty offering. One that I think you can absolutely love. If you've skipped it or haven't played it or are new and maybe you just played the sequel and you were waiting for the original to get remastered, I guess. I don't know. This is a great experience and one of the best games, a defining PlayStation title for sure, with a very well put together style, setup, and universe, a great character, great performances, and just a stunning, expansive narrative that you can enjoy. So hopefully you dive in and take a look at the remaster. Obviously I can get where some people would be like, it's too soon or whatever. I totally get it. But I do think that this is quite a big visual upgrade, and there's so many games that I would love to see get improvements like this, so it is a bit odd to do one that does look as good as this one already did. But hey, at least now it does look quite a bit visually better. I was blown away by the upgrades here visually.